Hello students, welcome back to Geeta's Academy, where learning biology is made easy. This is Geeta Rathod here. In today's video, we are going to go through with the chapter Reproduction in Organism Part 3. Before I start this video, if you have not subscribed to my channel till now, please do subscribe so that you will get notified whenever I upload a new video. Okay, let's begin the today's video. Well, friends, today we are going to go through with events in sexual reproduction. So let us see what this comprises of. What are the events in the sexual reproduction? So in sexual reproduction is marked by three important events. That is, first one is pre-fertilization events. Second one is fertilization events. And third one is post-fertilization events. Let's see these events one by one. In pre-fertilization events, the events of sexual reproduction which occurs before fertilization. So it is as clear as much. That is, pre-fertilization events are the events which are occurring before the fertilization. Now, what are the events which are occurring before fertilization? Obviously, they are these two important steps or events, that is gametogenesis, that is a formation of gametes, and gamete transfer, that is transferring the gamete from one organism to another organism of the same species for process of fertilization. So fertilization events, the second event is fertilization event, right? During this event, what will happen? Yes, of course, the fertilization will occur. What is fertilization? The process of fusion of male and female gamete, which will result in formation of a zygote. Okay, so in fertilization event, the process of fusion of male and female gamete will occur. And in post-fertilization events, it comprises of two important events. That is, one is formation of a zygote and one more is formation of embryo. So let us first understand about pre-fertilization events in detail. Pre-fertilization events, as I told you in earlier slide, there I told you that it comprises of two important steps. That is, one is gametogenesis and one is gamete transfer, the second one, right? So let us first understand about the gametogenesis. So what is a gametogenesis? Yes, the formation of gametes is called as gametogenesis. Well, in that, the formation of male gamete is called as spermatogenesis and the formation of female gamete is called as oogenesis. Okay, these gametes are haploid in number. Haploid is denoted by 1n. Okay, one pair of one set of, that is, gametes are haploid in number. Gametes are haploid reproductive cells and haploid is denoted by N. Okay. Now, gametes are of two types. One is homogamete, another is heterogamete. Let us see what are homogametes. It is very simple, dear students. Homogametes means the gametes which are similar in appearance. Means here you cannot distinguish which is a female and which is a male gamete. Such gametes are common in algae. Okay, here I have given a picture. Here you can see male and female gametes are appearing similar in structure. What are heterogametes? The gametes are different in their appearance. We can clearly make out the gametes are different, which is a male and which is a female gamete. So the gametes which are different in their structure and appearance, such gametes are called as heterogamete or anisogametes. Okay, such gametes are very much common in humans and higher plants. So here you can see human gametes, that is sperm and ova, which are totally different from their structure. Now, I have given a clear-cut picture of heterogametes here. The male gamete, it is a sperm, human sperm and a ova. In plant, this male gamete is called as the antherozoite. Now, let us understand about the Sexuality in organisms. So, depending upon the presence of the male and female gametes in the same organism or in the different organisms, the sexuality is again divided into homothallic, heterothallic, and hermaphrodite. Let us see them one by one. Here, homothallic organisms means what? Homothallic, thallic word is used in plants usually. This, if we want to call it in animals, then we will use the word monoecious or monoecious organisms. Okay, so the animals which have both the sexes or both the sex or both the gametes in the same organism. Okay, such organisms are called as the monoecious organisms. When it comes to the plant, when both these pistil and stamen are in the same flower, now that kind of flower is called as homothallic flower. Okay, so example here I have given coconut, maize, bamboo, etc. Now what is heterothallic? Definitely you might have understood by now. Of course, it is opposite of homothallic. Here the organisms which bear different gametes differently. The individuals are bearing single gametes here. One individual will carry only male gamete and one individual will have only female gamete. One individual will have male gamete and one individual will have female gamete, totally different. Okay, totally differently. So the plants which have male gametes separately and female gametes separately, those are called as heterothallic plants, and the organisms are separate, their sexes are separate. Such organisms are called as dioecious organisms. Here I have given the example of papaya, date palm, etc. Now, here you can see two types of flowers depending upon the presence of type of the reproductive organ they possess. So in the first picture, you can see there is a presence of staminodes. Staminodes means anthers. So this flower is staminate flowers. That is, it is a unisexual flower. It means it contains only stamens. Okay. Now here, beside to that, totally opposite to it. It is containing only pistil, no stamens. So this flower is called as pistillate flower. It is also a unisexual flower. So their sexuality is unisexual. Okay, unisexual flowers are staminate and pistillate. Remember, students. Now I told you hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites are organisms which possess both testes and ovaries in the single organism. So here the best example we can give is of earthworm. Earthworms possess testes and ovaries in them. So these earthworms are hermaphrodites. Similar way, leeches. This earthworm and leech, they both belong to phylum Annelida. Their characteristic feature is metameric segmentation. The body is divisible externally and internally into the segments. Okay. Now, let us go through with the cell division during gamete formation. So as I was going through with the gametogenesis, then we saw the sexuality. Now let us see what type of a cell division an organism will undergo during the formation of the gamete. So haploid organisms or haploid parents such as fungi and algae, these are haploid parents. They undergo mitosis division. Okay, in fungi usually you will see reproduction, asexual reproduction by budding. Now here we are watching the reproduction, right? So in fungi and algae, you see the haploid parents. These are already haploid parents. So they undergo mitosis division because they multiply. Mitosis division is a multiplication division. So they multiply more and more in number. That's how they reproduce in lower organisms such as fungi and algae. Whereas diploid parents, that is higher organisms such as human beings and higher plants, they undergo meiosis division during the formation of the gametes because the gametes has to be haploid to result in the diploid zygote. Okay, because here there is a fusion of male and female gamete. So both the gamete, male and female gamete, has to be haploid in number. Okay, so when haploid male gamete fuses with the haploid female gamete, then they can produce diploid zygote. So examples are human beings and higher plants. I hope that is clear. Next, let us go through with how the gametes are getting transferred after the formation. First, we just learned gametogenesis, that is spermatogenesis and oogenesis, formation of the sperm and ova. Now, after the formation of them, the next step would be transfer of gametes. So these two, formation of the gametes and transfer of gametes, are called as pre-fertilization events. I'm just repeating it for you once again so that you don't miss the track. Okay, students, I have one announcement. In the next video, I am going to come up with the neat concepts or neat shots of this particular chapter, that is reproduction in organisms. So do not forget to subscribe, and if you want to share it with your friends, so don't forget to share and hit that notification bell so that you will get notified as soon as possible the moment I upload a new video. Thank you. And if you want any new topic to be discussed or a particular request of a particular topic, please do not forget to comment there so that I will come up with that particular video for you. Thank you. Let's continue with the transfer of gametes. As these gametes are formed, the transfer of gametes is necessary, right? Why it is necessary? Because fertilization should occur. Fine. So, to fertilization to occur, what has to be done? The gametes has to be transferred. So what will happen is that these gametes are transferred through the agencies, fine, like wind, water, etc. in different organisms, like wind, water, etc. in different organisms. Well, students, now let us go through with the transfer of gametes. Well, students, now let us go through with the transfer of gametes. As the gametes are formed, now these gametes has to transfer to result in fertilization. So these gametes are of different nature. Usually the male gamete is motile, whereas the female gamete is static. So in higher organisms like humans, the male gamete will swim through the female reproductive tract to reach to the ova or the egg, that is the female gamete. In higher plants, usually these gametes, higher plants as well as the lower plants, that is fungi and algae, these gametes will swim. They are motile, okay, and they swim through the water or they fly through the wind, okay. There will be many abiotic agencies with which they get transferred to the transfer of gametes. Now students, let us understand how the gametes are transferred and why the transfer of gamete is necessary after the formation of the gametes. These gametes after the formation has to get transferred because there should be fertilization occurring. So usually male gametes are motile. So in humans, these male gametes will swim into the female reproductive tract and it will reach the egg in the fallopian tube. Okay, while the egg of the human is immotile. That's why the sperm will swim to it. So this is how the sperm gets transferred to the ova in humans. Whereas in algae and fungi, both the gametes are motile. They both can swim in the water. Okay. Now, in some plant categories like bryophytes and pteridophytes, water will act as a transfer medium. I told you. Okay. In bryophytes and pteridophytes, what will happen? These gametes swim through that and they will reach the pistil, or they will reach and they will reproduce and they will fertilize, right? In higher plants, what happen? In angiosperms, usually there is a process called as pollination, where the pollen grains are transferred or dispersed by the agency of the wind, like abiotic agencies like wind, water, etc. Whereas biotic agencies or biotic factors will be insects, butterflies, ants, okay, then snails, bats, etc. These are different types of organisms which will transfer the pollen from one flower to another flower to give a result of fertilization. So this is how the gametes get transferred in different organisms. Now let's understand about the second event of the fertilization, that is the now let us understand about the second event of the sexual reproduction in organisms. So here, now let us understand about the events. Now let us stand about now let us understand about the second step of the events in sexual reproduction, that is fertilization and syngamy. So what is fertilization? Fertilization is nothing but fusion of male and female gamete which will result in production of a zygote. This fertilization comprises of two types, that is external and internal fertilization. Let us see what are these external and internal fertilization. It is very simple. In internal fertilization, the male gamete, that is sperm, is deposited into the female reproductive tract, and here the number of offsprings are less. Why? Because the rate of reproductivity or survivability is very much ensured in internal reproduction, and here the development is direct, means the offspring will develop directly without any larval stages. Such development occurs in the humans, sharks, and most land animals. Whereas external fertilization, what will happen is the eggs are laid outside. For an example, frogs will lay their eggs in a groups and on the surface of the water, and later the male frog will deposit their sperm on it, and the fertilization will occur outside the body of the female in the water medium, on the surface of the water, inside the water. Same phenomena we can find in fishes also. Fishes will lay lot of eggs underwater, and then the male fish comes and releases sperms, hence the sperms will swim to the egg and the fertilization will occur outside the body of the female. Such type of fertilization is called as external fertilization. So here what happens, as it is external and there are many environmental hazards, so the number of the eggs will be more and more to ensure 100% reproductive rate success. Okay, now here the development is indirect because they undergo larval stages. In frog you can see there is a tadpole larva, that is a larval stage which do not resemble its parent, and it will undergo metamorphosis, means a series of changes to become a frog finally. Okay, I hope that is clear, students. Now let us understand about the third step of sexual reproduction events, or events of sexual reproduction. That third step is post fertilization events. Okay, so these events include development of a zygote and development of a embryo. Now let's understand about the development of a zygote. Like in some organisms like fungi and algae, so what will happen, once the zygote is formed in fungi and algae, they will develop a thick wall around it. Okay, there will be a thick wall development around it. In amoeba we call it as encystation. Okay, so these organisms, or in fungi and algae, what will happen, around the zygote a thick wall is developed, and this wall will undergo a dormant phase, and it will be very resistant to damage, means it can withhold any kind of extreme climatical conditions, and after a brief period when there is a favorable condition, it will germinate into a new offspring. Okay, this is how the zygote will develop in algae and fungi. Now, the further development of zygote depends on type of the life cycle of an organism. Remember, this is very important. The development of the zygote also depends on the type of the life cycle of an organism and the environment in which it is living. That also matters a lot. Okay. Now, in sexually reproducing organisms, what will happen? A diploid zygote is formed. Okay. As a result of what? Fertilization. And later, what will happen? This zygote develops into a new organism. Understand? I hope this is very clear. But the process of, okay. Now, let us understand about the embryogenesis. Okay, the second step of post-fertilization event, that is embryogenesis. Okay, what is embryogenesis? Let us understand, students. The process of development of embryo from the zygote is called embryogenesis. It is as simple as that. Okay, so the embryogenesis, okay, the zygote is undergoing these two steps. Okay, during the step of formation of embryo, the zygote will undergo these two steps. And what are those steps? Cell division, right? What type of cell division? It is mitosis, right? Why we have to, or why the zygote has to go undergo mitosis, cell division? Because it will increase the cell numbers. Okay, now next is cell differentiation to form specialized tissues and organs. Remember, we are organ system level of organization. Humans are having organ system level of organization, right? From cell to, that is cell to tissue, tissue to organ, organ to organ system. Do not forget, these are levels of organization. Definitely we are developed from a single cell called as zygote to a organ system level of organization only through a process called as cell differentiation. I hope students that is clear. Now here you can see a diagrammatic representation of embryogenesis. In the first picture you can see that is a zygote, that is a single celled diploid zygote. Beside to that you can see it's 8-celled structure. It has undergone a process called as cleavage, that is a mitotic division, which will form one celled zygote into 8-celled structure. Now this will further undergo cleavage to form morula, which you cannot see here, but you can very much see blastula. Blastula is a hollow ball like structure. Below to that blastula you can see gastrulation, but beside that blastula you can see cross section of the blastula. So inside you can see a cavity called as blastocele. Blastocele is a cavity. Okay, now we will learn about all these things in detail when we will learn about the sexual reproduction in humans. Okay, now below to this blastula you can see gastrulation, and beside of this gastrulation you can see gastrula. Now this gastrula has three embryonic layer: ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. Ecto, that is outermost layer; endo, innermost layer; mesoderm is the middle layer. I hope all of you know about these layers, right? So the single celled zygote will undergo all this cell division and differentiation of cell to form multi-celled, multi-organed organ system level of organism. Okay, friends, this is so interesting. Well, the embryogenesis, now depending upon the development of the zygote inside or outside the body of the female organism, they are divided into two types. Organisms are divided into how many types? Two types: oviparous and viviparous organisms. It is very simple to understand. Oviparous organisms, the organisms which lay eggs, they are called as oviparous. Okay, you might have seen birds and reptiles, birds and snakes. Snakes you might have seen, they lay a hard calcareous shells, right? Yes, so such organisms are called as oviparous organisms. Whereas viviparous organisms, yes, the organisms which directly give rise to young ones or give birth to the young ones, they do not lay eggs. And you can see human beings are the biggest example, as well as the elephants, fox, deer, etc. Okay, now let us understand in plants what we have. In flowering plants, the zygote is developing into where? Ovule. The zygote is developing into ovule, right? In ovule, it will develop into a embryo. Okay. Now, this fertilized egg will become a seed and the ovary will develop into a fruit, remember. Okay. Now, the seed germinates in favorable condition. Whenever there is a favorable condition, this seed will germinate and it will form a new plant. Okay. Now the outermost, now you might have known fruit, all of you may be eating fruits, right? The outermost layer of the fruit is called what? Pericarp. But that fruit what you're eating is a ovary, remember. Well, students, I hope you have liked my explanation and you have understood the concept of events in sexual reproduction. As we complete this video, it completes the chapter reproduction in organisms. Now, students, in the next video, I am going to come through with the neat concepts or neat shots of this chapter, that is reproduction in organisms. So if you have not subscribed my channel till now, do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you will get it notified the moment I upload the video, because I am going to decode this chapter completely by the neat shots in my next video. Till then, keep preparing. This is Geeta Rathod. Thank you.